quick little disclaimer before this episode begins. A lot of this footage, and by a lot I mean most of it, was recorded when I was around level 10-ish. After that I started trying to get the tips together and everything like that. I am a higher level with her now. I have roughly 20 hours in at Rev, so I do know what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I say, these clips are from a lower level, so if you see anything like that, don't be suspicious. What's up, guys? So it's going to be the next sort of episode in my in-depth guide for the Rocket Arena characters, champions, whatever you want to call them, competitors I think it is in this game. Today we're going to be doing Rev, and this was from a Reddit comment. Someone asked me to do it, so I figured, you know what, let's get to work. So for the past week I have been non-stop using her. Now and again obviously she gets picked, so I can't, but I must have put a good, I would say, minimum of 20 hours in. And here we are. This is my sort of combos, my tips and all that. So, who is Rev? In the description it states that Rev is an aggressive competitor. She rushes down her opponents with a hoverboard. She boasts extreme mobility, making her an excellent offense frontline tool for most team compositions, and her risky close range playstyle can often put her in harm's way, but there's no competitor in the tour more effective at putting pressure on their opponents. Now, would I agree with that? 50-50. They're certainly better at putting pressure on, you know. Flashbacks to Amphora. But let's talk about her abilities, her tactical and her other one, because for some reason one's like an ultimate ability or something like that. I don't really understand it. But her abilities, so the primary weapon is called the double whammy, and this is a rapid fire explosive projectile alternating between the weapon's twin barrels. So as it sounds, it's pretty fast firing. The best thing about this, it doesn't do a ton of damage, but the fact that it has, what, 16 bullets, 16 rockets in there, and it's just a sustained amount of fire, you know, it's not a be-all or end-all. I usually miss, you know, half, even 3/4 of these. That doesn't matter. It's just about putting that pressure on, and that is true to the description of her, and she's good at that. So, like I say, you've got the double whammy. Next up is, honestly, one of the best parts about Rev, and a very underrated part, is the mag mine. And this is basically a mine that you throw and they attach to any surface, any foe, anything really. So if I chuck it up here, it will stick up there. If someone then flies up here, but obviously I'm friendly, but that would have hit him. So we'll demonstrate on this guy. So we can chuck it next to that guy, and did you see, even though it didn't necessarily hit him square on, come on, get down. Oh god, he's coming after me. But yeah, if I throw it kind of near into an area like this, and then we lure this guy, as you can see there's kind of a bubble around it. Let me try it one again, if he'll actually come over. So you see it kind of activates before, well, as soon as that perimeter, as you can see, gets tripped. And you know, it does an okay amount of damage, I guess, not major. But yeah, that's her ability. And a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why are you saying it's one of the best parts? And this is why. We'll come into combos later, but the fact that it sticks onto them, and it's almost, I mean, you can have the aim of, you know, Stevie Wonder, and you would still more than likely stick them. Very useful. Now next up is her final special ability, and this is, honestly, for me, after using it, I thought Amphora's, you know, fish ability was crazy good, and it's certainly overpowered, but this ability is just excellent. It's her board flying, I mean on here it's called Shatter Slam, which is activating your shatterboard flight, and you kick opponents with your attacks. So this kind of has two alternating uses. You can use it to fly for, you know, a limited duration. That's great. That could be used to get out, get in. But you've also tied to this, and I know a lot of people know this, but I had a couple of people on, by a couple, I had one person on a video I was watching on YouTube comment saying, you know, I did not realise this is a thing. So if you're flying and you hit your shoot button while you're near an enemy, it kind of locks on and does a sizable amount of damage. I mean, as you can see, what's that? Just under a quarter. So to show it again, look, that's a sizable amount, and it knocks people pretty far. It's good. Trust me when I say this is a excellent move. Now, I guess it's just time to show what kind of combo. So let's reset the guy. So the combos I use, if you're coming face on an opponent, okay, so this is, let's say this is a plink, hi plink, and you're coming up, I see a lot of people make the mistake of starting the fight with either shooting, so they'll get in the face, obviously this target isn't particularly moving much, but they'll get in the face of the target, and that's fine. They'll chuck maybe a mine there, and yeah, you know, that can work, it works well. But honestly, doing it wrong. You want to start off most engagements, if you can, with your board, certainly your board attack, and just before that, your mine. So the combo would look something like this. To slow it down a bit, it would be mine, and then because that mine will usually knock them up or away, then you want to follow in with your board, and at that point you're half damage. Then you can carry on, just putting a little bit of pressure on, maybe get another mine. Did you left full, my mate? Obviously the mine didn't hit, and they won't always hit, but you get the idea. So in fast it would be, you're flying in, you hit with the mine, you fly up, you carry on putting pressure on, and your next mine is already ready. I appear to have awful aims, so I've missed twice. But yeah, that's the idea, and that alone will basically be your playstyle for every game. This is what I use every game. It's a cheese, but it works. So, just to prove again, wait for it to explode, fly in, you carry on putting that pressure on. Obviously, he was kind of out of room there. We'll try it over here. If they get the hit, it really doesn't matter, as you saw there. You can carry on putting the pressure on. As you see, I'm not hitting every single shot, but as long as you're hitting one or two in the way and you're keeping their bar up, you're going to do some serious damage, and that is the combo. As I said, my Amphora guide, which, you know, feel free to go check out, but as I said with that one, her combos are a main part of her kit. You've got some characters that the combos don't really work, it's just more about just keep shooting and hope for the best. But with Rev, yeah, you want to go for them combos, stick them, fly into her face. That's such a good example. You're not always going to hit it, but if you don't, because of the consistency of your weapon, you can just keep firing. You want to try and keep firing as much as possible, and even if you're comboing it with something like that, if they start to fly up, work with that. You push them up, like I did there. If they're up in the air, let's see if we can sort of replicate that. No, it doesn't look like we can. If they're up though in the air or being pushed to one side, you focus them down that side, because there is nothing scarier than when a Rev just keeps coming and coming and coming. And like I say, that's the best part of her kit. And just to also say, once her ability's been used, obviously, what is it, a 10-second cooldown? We'll just let it cool down. But don't feel like you always have to use it for that as well. If I was super low, imagine if I was one shot now, all I've got to do to get out of there is tap a button, and I can go, for example, up on high ground. I can go pretty much where I want. So bear that in mind. It's not going to be used as much, but that's always an option. And that's my sort of combos on Rev. Now we'll be kind of hopping over, and I'm going to explain how I use some of these in a match. So, in this game, it's just a bang average game. Nothing particularly special about this game. I think we did win it. But I'm going to kind of go through some of the tips I use. So, because of her mobility, I was on that point pretty much instantly. I figured, you know what, I'm going to stand on it, which I usually don't. Other characters I usually stand back a bit, but I thought I'd stand on the point. I knew I was going to get shot to death, and I very nearly did, but it's just all about trying to, especially in Mega Rocket, control that point. And I knew that in the back of my head, with my mobility, if I needed, I could just get out of there. So what I'm doing here, I'm not throwing, even though I've got my mine, I'm not kind of throwing it, as you can see. And even though I said that you should try and throw it as much as you can, I wanted to use it in a more strategic way, so I like to hold on to it sometimes just in case. And as we saw there, I started that attack with my board, and here again, as you saw, for some reason sometimes the board kind of locks on but doesn't really do out. But if you see someone one shot off, you fly them that board, you know, there's usually nothing they can do. So I go away, and I always like to try and have some kind of item. And I see the enemies, so here I am again, and I've thrown my sort of sticky grenade onto that point. I've done a good amount of damage. I've seen that he was one shot, I've gone in with the board, and that is another really good combo, finishing off the board, as well as starting with it if you can, because usually it's sort of off cooldown by the time you need to finish it. And this Zell over here, I mean, she was trying to run, I just couldn't hit them shots. I didn't want to waste anything. I didn't have any abilities ready anyway, but if I did, I wouldn't have wasted them when she looked pretty defenseless, to be fair. And Rev is actually really good at what you saw there, wall jumping, so firing your rockets at a wall. Excellent. Because she can fire so many, not as good as Plink, but because she can fire so many, it makes it quite easy to scale buildings. So, what are we? 3 rockets down. I think from this point on, especially when you're on 3 rockets, as you can see, I'm kind of staying away from the point a bit more. And then I'm using my mobility when I think that there's going to be people now on the point. So now I can go in. Obviously, it's a bit of a cluster over here, but I'm able to go in, I'm able to try and control the best I can, use that board. I know that with the amount of enemies, I'm almost certain to use it again. And at this point, it's just really about shooting and hoping for the best. So I'm shooting everything, everything's going on, I'm using that board. I got quite a lucky one there, you know, it's 50-50 on which of the 2 clones I was going to hit. But yeah, I got quite lucky. I noticed that this person was low as well. But don't chase it. Just because you're Rev, don't suddenly think that you have to chase every single one. Rev is really good at, like I say, engaging and then degaging, if that's even a word. But you can get in and out so quickly. And here, look, I thought, no, you know what? I want to get on that point. I want to get a good head start. I just flew away from the battle. Now I'm in such a better position. Yes, I'm getting hit quite a bit because obviously the point isn't in an ideal spot. And unfortunately, we're getting knocked out there. But look, that was the game. We won that one, and there were some good points overall in there. And then going into this game, I have actually had to mute both of the underlining game tracks purely because I was online with my brother talking about some, you know, obviously personal stuff in there. But I came in this game, and my idea, I remember going through my head, was just to badger their back line. And for anyone, you know, that isn't 80 years old or over, badger means just kind of irritate. So my idea was that because they had a boon, and we know how annoying he can be, I just wanted to mainly concentrate on him, but like I say, really get in that back line. So I come up here, and I'm just trying to get the boon off that high point. Because once he's off, he's pretty much defenseless. Look, my team's going for it. And as you can see, my accuracy is... it could be better. I'll be honest with you, it could be a lot better. But, look, I got the kill in the end. And that was what I was saying earlier. You're going to miss a lot. The bullet travel time takes a long time to sort of understand, to hit consistent. But, again, the Zell wanted to start. I didn't chase after her. I knew she was low. I knew she'd run. I knew that my teammates would hopefully finish that up, but you know, here I got out of the way. I needed to recharge some health. I figured I'd get out of the way, get a little bit high ground, and I mean, as you see, I'm just using that mobility constantly. You know, she's trying to hit me. She's trying to hit me. Some weird kind of glitch happened here, which was unfortunate from her. But I should have got the kill with the board, but that's fine. Again, I saw my teammates fighting, trying to stay in the air, or at least, if you're not in the air, jump, move, something with Rev, because you wouldn't believe it, but she's a pretty easy target to hit if you're not going quick all the time. This Azel managed to get out of it. I'm just trying to get a rocket. I'm just trying to nab that kill from my brother, I think. But look here as well. I fly in. It was unfortunate that I missed that one, but you know, any other day it might have hit. It's 50-50 really, but that's the thing. I used it. Now when I acquire the next target, look, I can use it again. The kill was got from my brother, but that's fine because we can go in, and I know again. 10 seconds after that, and it's not a lot of time. 10 seconds later, I know it's going to be ready again. Easy as that. I see the person's low, and so, as I've explained, I wanted to try and fly in. They was killed, but that is okay. And that is what it's all about. That's what I can really say. I know I sound like I've blabbed a lot, and I've just kind of commentated my own gameplay, which I have, but it's so important to understand with Rev that she is 100% mobility. More than anything else, you need to try and jump as much as you can. You need to just, I mean, as you see here, there's no need for me to do these triple jumps. There's no need for me to do these things. But as soon as I start getting hit, I figure, you know what, get another target. It doesn't matter. You know, just put pressure on someone else. I'm throwing that mine out badly, I must admit, and I'm missing every shot, and luckily a teammate comes in to help. But look, it's just about mobility. I see that they're high, and that right there was probably the best part about this whole thing. That person obviously thought that they were safe. I come flying in at a ridiculous height and nearly knock her. Now the last two bits I'm going to talk about are both the kind of worrying things about a kit I'm going to mention, and also how to counter her. So the worst thing about her kit is that because there's that kind of invisible force field around the arena, it's very easy, and believe me, I do it about 100 times a day, but that is to fly out. When you're flying up in the air to hit someone, I cannot express how easy it is after you've flown up and used your board kick to just accidentally fly straight through the ceiling. It is the most irritating thing about her, and you have to be so careful. And I am learning to get better at it, but just trust me, that is the hardest thing to watch out for. The second and the last thing that you have to kind of watch out for it is sometimes too much mobility is bad. I've come against revs that are all about zooming around the map, you know, fly over here, try this, try that. And, you know, they end up putting in 200 damage in that game. And I think, well, you've spent so much time concentrating on, you know, acting like Iron Man, flying through the air on a surfboard, and no time damaging. So you have to kind of get that 50-50. Use the board to get around, but put that damage in. Now, how do you counter her? This is a bit harder than the Amphora one, because Amphora was very much, you know, just don't get near her. But with Rev, even if you're far away, she'll make up that distance. The best way I have found to counter a Rev is not stay far away, because like I say, if you do, her weapon's pretty good at longer ranges and she's got mobility. The best way I've found to counter her is get in her face, and that sounds a bit silly, but what I've noticed is the amount of times I will see a Rev, for example. Let's say I'm a Blastbeard and I see a Rev, so I start thinking to myself, well, usually I'd run away, but now if I get in her face, all of a sudden you see her try and zoom towards you, and the accuracy of a board kick is sometimes iffy. So she zooms towards you, and usually you can put enough damage in to stop her before anything happens. Yeah, you're gonna still take a ton of damage, and also you might only win, you know, 5 out of 10 times, and that's fine. But get in her face. Don't run away, because if you run away, she's just going to chase you down, and while you're running away, you're not doing any damage to her. So as I say, stay close to her. If you see her coming at you, you know what, say to yourself, fine, I'll go for it, and attack her with absolutely everything you have. Obviously, if you've got crazy movement abilities, feel free to get out there. You know, if you're a Zell, you could just use your ability to get away. And that is, like I say, the biggest tip I can give you. stay close to her, get in her face, deal that damage. If you need to run, you know, obviously you guys know whoever you main better than I probably do. You know, I've only got, you know, 5 to 10 hours on every character. You know, obviously some I've got more, but on average I'd say 5 to 10 hours. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know better than me, but that's it. Hopefully with these tips you guys can take them out there and do better with Rev. And like I say, counter her, get better with her. Good luck, guys. That's all I can say. She's a great character to use, so good luck. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe for more Rocket Arena gameplay and tips every single week. See you later, guys.